This episode of Watchin' Stuff is sponsored by T-Blocks. Stay till the end to find out how you can support ToonGrin while getting your own limited edition Geek Culture t-shirt.
ToonGrin.com.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm NERO, with me is my Canadian counterpart WHYBOY, and last time we looked at the worst films of 2017, and
that was
well,
a long one, indeed.
Quite frankly, there's still more. I mean, The Deep.
Yeah.
That was a travesty.
Yeah, we just watched that after the list, and that was awful.
What else did we watch? There was something else we watched where we said, like... was it just The Deep?
Yeah, I don't really remember any of the other ones really just being like... There was one movie that is on this list that was really something that we made fun of.
Yeah.
We'll talk about later.
Maybe it was just The Deep, but we ended up watching the Deep, and I guarantee you that's going to get a CC in the future.
Yeah.
So, be on the lookout for that nonsense.
Yeah, but now we're talking about the best of 2017. And this year, just overall, was not really the best year. It was either really just, like, outrageously bad, or just mediocre. Just, like, forgettably mediocre. Which is what we would say, like, the Emoji Movie was. People just say the worst movie of all time. But no, it's just a typical sort of A to B story. And with very bland characters intermixed in it.
Yeah, again, it's hard to get mad at something like the Emoji Film when we saw the trailers and we went into there. And it's like, people who came out of there, I've seen so many people, reviewers and critics who are like, worst film, cynical cash grab, no creativity. Did no one watch the trailers before they went in?
Yeah, that's what they basically advertised themselves as.
Yeah, it was basically being promoted as being the worst film of 2017. Like, that was the point in order to get you to see it. And it was a financial success from what I understand.
Yeah, from what I saw, it definitely was a financial success. And basically, that sort of, like, you're gonna hate this sort of trailer advertising really works, apparently. Which is why Peter Rabbit is doing the same thing with its advertising campaign.
Yeah. But we want to talk about the best films of 2017. And mind you, that was an uphill battle. We had... Initially, I think we wanted to do the worst ones, or the best ones first, and then do the worst ones. But the worst ones came so easy that when it came to doing the best ones, we were like, oh my god, there's so much mediocrity this year.
Yeah, I'll just list off the ones that we actually thought were actually good. A Stork's Journey. Captain Underpants. Yeah, it's hard. Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie. Loving Vincent. Nova Seed for Me. Scooby-Doo Blowout Beach Bash. Smurfs The Lost Village. Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania, which was very mediocre.
There was a weird blowjob joke in there about Vince McMahon, though.
Yes, that makes it a classic. The Boss Baby. And The Little Vampire 3D. The Son of Bigfoot, and one that I saw, Todd in the Book of Pure Evil, The End of the End, which is basically the finale of that whole series done in an animated movie, which was pretty cool, but no one not knowing the actual show will actually like that movie. And Your Name. So how many was that, like 10? Maybe.
It was, I don't know, maybe our standards are too high. I'm sure that's what commenters will say. I know I've gotten that comment from people before where people have told me, like, oh, your standards are too high, that's why you can never enjoy a film. Which to me is a weird argument for an opinion to have, where it's like, I just have there's things I like about a film that you don't like. I mean, there's no such thing as really too high a standard.
So you have to have a certain way of having standards, or your standards are way too high.
I mean, by that account of logic, shouldn't I be able to make the argument, well, of course you liked it. Your standards are so fucking low, they might as well be next to dinosaur bones.
Yeah, and they would just say, oh god, you're just being so judgmental of me. You're just being a snooty asshole.
So, there you go. So, the thing about this is, unlike the worst of lists where there was slight differentiation, our lists are exactly the same this time. So this is probably going to be a shorter video comparatively.
Yeah.
So just be known of that because...
Yeah, but I'm sort of happy with how short it came out because definitely these 5 that we chose are definitely like quality films. So basically trying to mix things up and actually stood out on their own sort of merits. Like, I'm sure most people won't agree with everything on this list because some of them are a little bit out there, but I think we've chosen a nice list that's basically a nice range of movies.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's kind of cool that we ended up liking the same ones because, you know, our tastes in movies are kind of similar, but they're also kind of drastically different.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we talked about this when you came and visited. You enjoyed Big Trouble in Little China. You're like, oh, that's a fun movie. And me, I adore it. It's one of my all-time favorite films ever made. Yeah,
it's not that it wasn't just like, oh my god, it's the best movie ever. It's just like, oh yeah, that's fun.
To me, it's the best movie ever.
Well, I think your standards are a little bit too low, Nero.
Oh, maybe your standards are a bit too high, WHYBOY.
Seductively drinking that water.
That's right. So, we're going to begin. Number 5, Best Movie 2017. Take it away, WHYBOY.
It is Scooby-Doo Blowout Beach Bash, which I'm pretty sure most people would never expect a Scooby-Doo movie would be on a top list at all.
Let alone a Lego one.
Yeah, especially with Scooby-Doo Shaggy Showdown, which actually got a CC treatment this year. And as we all know, that one was a real treat.
Didn't we just get, didn't YouTube just give us, like, some shit about that?
Yeah, because we're actually moving on to a new YouTube channel now, and we got copyright striked for that review and Monster of Mexico. So, joy!
Way to defend the good ones there, WB!
Yeah, why didn't you strike our review of Blowout Beach Bash? Oh, you're right, because that would have been free advertising for you, because we were non-ironically actually promoting this movie, advertising for how good it is. Like, the basic story is, like, the Scooby Gang goes to a beach where these Lego pirates are just going around just scaring everybody off. And now it's up to the game to basically solve the mystery and such. It's just a simple Scooby-Doo mystery like that. Was
this in Coolsville?
No.
Okay.
It was a new pier town that they went to.
I don't even remember what the name of the town was.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, like, that's the thing, though. Like, you know, you watch Scooby-Doo for the character interaction and the mystery.
Right.
And that's, like, this had a cool mystery. I actually really like how the mystery was set up in this one. They actually set it up in such a way that you have clues that technically everybody could have been a fucking suspect.
Yeah, and that's usually what the best mysteries have, where everyone has equal motive and equal opportunity to do things. And you just pick up the little bits of clues that basically wrap everything up into a nice little bow.
Yeah, it makes it more of like a brain tickler in that what it's going to be. Like, there's so many times when we've watched other Scooby-Doo films. I mean, there's like Monster of Mexico, the twist was hard to figure out because the character who's the bad guy or who's the culprit doesn't even show up in the film until they unmask him.
Yeah, and the other culprit, it doesn't really show up only in the beginning and the end.
So it doesn't really work there. I'm trying to think of like the last one that was really good.
Like a good mystery would probably be Moon Monster Madness was pretty good.
Yeah, and that setup was pretty good. That also I think had the idea where it's like they put breadcrumbs that's like, well, it makes sense if this person was the culprit or if this individual was the culprit and so on and so forth. And Blow Up Beach Bash does that where it's like, you know, oh, the people who run the hotel, they could be behind it. You know, the idiot kids of the people who run the hotel, they could be behind it. Lazy cops, they could be behind it.
Donald
Trump, who's clearly an analog for Donald Trump. It's not even like kind of trying to hide it.
No, it was clearly Donald Trump. And that was
does he even say at one point where he's like, I like making money?
Yeah, he says something along those lines. And it's just so on the nose, it is hilarious. And that's sort of what I love about this movie, because it's so self-aware about itself. Unlike the last Lego movie, where it's just like a very bare-bones basic Scooby-Doo plot, where it's just stretched on for an hour and a half. This feels really dense with content here. That it just actually feels everything good. Yeah.
Yeah, also the last one didn't take advantage of the Lego setup. This one does.
Yeah. Like the only thing that was in the first one was where they would just spin people's heads around.
Yeah.
That's it. Here they have to spin people's heads around, like they actually build stuff like the master builds in the Lego movie. There was actually a range of stuff they did with the Lego setting, and that made the world more natural in a sense. Well, natural in the sense of the Lego movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's taking advantage of what its setting is that like the people who made this one realize it's it's Legos. That means they could construct anything. They could be more imaginative. The slapstick could be different than what it's normally used to. So, like, there's, like, that scene where, they do that dance called the Jinky?
Yeah.
And, like, everybody pops their hair off or something, and it's like, oh, because they're Legos, you could do that now. You could play with that angle. And it adds a bit more. It still, unfortunately, suffers from any direct-to-DVD Lego movie, which is the first actual The Lego movie, everything was Legos, including, like, the water and the fire. Now, you could see when they did Ninjago or Batman, they started to get lazy, where it's like, oh, we just put in water effects and we put in fire effects, and because this is direct to DVD, unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with that. Which is weird, because you think doing the fire effect as Legos would be easy, because it's just pieces of plastic moving up and down?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel that I can more forgive this movie for doing that, because it's just like a cost cut.
It's direct to DVD.
Measure. Basically, because the fire of doing like that is not really an important effect to have, where you just like have the other jokes and such. Where like Donald Trump comes into like the hotel owner's bar, just like, oh, the whole thing's falling apart, and he pops off a piece of Lego, just like, hey, and they just put it down like that. Like that effect was actually good and actually added a lot to the joke and such.
Yeah, that's funny. There's one joke, I won't spoil what the setup is, but these individuals are getting rid of evidence by taking the Lego pieces from something else and then turning it into something else because it's Legos.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Not only is that funny, that's very clever because it's Legos.
Yeah, because by the first time you see it, you're just like, what are they doing there? Oh, they're just building that thing. You don't really know if it has anything like major to do with it, but it actually calls back to it, which is always the sign of a really good mystery.
Yeah, and that's the thing that makes it really clever, is that it's taking advantage of the setup of what the world is, of the fact that it's going to be Legos, so we're going to treat them like living toys, and they play it up to that. And then on top of that, the humor is self-aware.
Yeah.
So it reminds me, there's like an episode of, I think it might be an episode or it might be one of the movies, but like there's a scene where Velma and Daphne get upset at Scooby and Shaggy, and they're like, why didn't you pack our luggage? And Shaggy goes, what's the point? We wear the same thing every day anyways.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Everybody just kind of looks at each other like, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that was in... No, that wasn't in the Kiss one. I believe in the one before that.
That's the one with John Cena,
right?
Yeah,
the WrestleMania one.
Where John Cena moves the boulder like a badass.
Oh!
It's amazing, that movie. It's phenomenal. But that's the thing, though, is that I like the self-awareness of this, where they kind of acknowledge almost like the fandom appeal to Scooby-Doo, where it's like, you like Scooby, you like Shaggy, and I guess to a lesser extent we like Daphne.
Yeah,
I guess.
Those are the fun ones.
I mean, technically speaking, like, okay, Scooby and Shaggy are in all the adaptations.
Right.
The only one that occasionally still stays around when they get rid of the rest of the gang is Daphne.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's like, here are the fun characters, the two dudes who like to eat, and the party chick, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it's like the squares are Velma and Fred.
Yeah.
And they play that up as a joke, and it works.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that everybody has something to do.
Yeah, like there's nobody doing like nothing in this movie. Like that's why this movie feels very dense, and why like almost past like an hour mark, we're just like, wow, this movie's been going on for a while, and it feels like this movie is still like running on a good pace. Like it wasn't just us going like, oh my god, when is this ending? Like in the first Lego one.
Well, like what was it, like Deep? We were like 10 minutes in, and we're like, oh Jesus.
I still
We're just so ready for it to be
like
done.
that effect was even worse than the first Lego movie, because by like the 20-minute mark, we were just like, oh my god, are we still here? Help us, please.
Yeah, right? That's the thing, though. Like, they give everybody something to do, including Daphne. She's actually trying to, like, solve clues and stuff. And that alone, I think, gives so much credit to this, because they realize, wow, I think this is one of the first times she's not a damsel in distress.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is so cool to see, like, them actually break out of that and have Daphne actually be a part of the mystery solving aspect.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, everybody kind of did. It's kind of funny because Velma and Fred were trying so hard to be quote-unquote cool. It basically left Scooby, Shaggy, and Daphne to pick up the slack, and you get to see them shine as like, wow, they're pretty clever.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also just made for funny jokes where, you know, Frank Welker, who's like obviously a very old guy now, and him as Fred just going up to like teenagers going like, hey, party dudes! And the teenagers are just
it's
like,
so funny when
no.
Fred going up to like other, like, I understand the Scooby Gang, I guess they're supposed to be teenagers.
But he's...
If I had to guess.
Yeah, they're still teenagers.
Yeah, the fact that like Fred goes up to them and he's like, how do you do, fellow kids? And you just sit there and you're like, Frank Welker must be in like his 60s by now.
Yeah,
so this is
even if he's playing
funny.
a teenager, it still sounds like a 60-year-old guy going up to kids.
Yeah, but Fred never sounded young. Fred sounded the same for like 20 years or something by now.
He still sounds like he's like a 40-year-old guy crotching a teenager's body.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. This is why this one makes our number 5 spot, is that it's funny, it's kind of self-aware, it knows how to make each character actually important on the Scooby Gang, it knows how to do a mystery right, and actually ties it together that it's a little bit harder to solve, but in a good way. It's not hard because it's poorly written, it's hard because it's genuinely...
You know, like a brain teaser.
Breadcrumbs.
They're like, oh, and at least sort of visual cues as well. Like, not some clues that basically they really point out, but basically once where you should notice it, you're just like, oh. And
yeah,
if you have that ah moment, I feel that is just the key to making a really good mystery.
As opposed to Scooby-Doo, Monster Mexico, where instead of it was ah. So it didn't even add up.
Or Shaggy Showdown going, ah.
Oh, there are a lot of reasons why that thing sucks. Click the card above our head or in the link below to go watch the review on that nonsense. Or either one. We reviewed both, right?
Yeah, we reviewed both. There will be links to both, no worries. See those pieces of crap. But on to number 4. A movie that basically a lot of people were hating this year. Mostly because its advertising was the same sort of like, you're gonna hate this sort of advertising. The Boss Baby from DreamWorks.
Well, wasn't the advertisement for this like, slap baby ass, fart, powder goes out baby's ass, and it's like, oh, this is going to be a masterpiece.
Yeah, really. It was that, and also like that typical like white screen with Alec Baldwin baby on the front, just like, oh yeah, this could be my movie and such and blah 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 sort of thing. You know, the exact same thing the Emoji Movie did.
Yeah, pretty much. I thought this movie was funny.
Yeah.
I know one of the criticisms bartered against it was the idea of what is it in terms of like, because it cuts from like a kid's imagination to like the real world, and some people don't know how to tell it apart. Yeah. I think the takeaway you and I got from it when we rewatched it again just to familiarize ourselves is the idea that it's all kind of exaggerated from the imagination of a little boy.
Yeah, because that's sort of what the original book was. Like, the original Boss Baby, because DreamWorks, like, above anything else, is probably, like, the biggest book adaptation sort of studio that we've seen around. And they really do, like, top
Well, I mean, technically, most of Disney's films are adaptation of, like, fairy tales.
Yeah, but these are, like, more recent books and such. Like, even, like, How to Train Your Dragon was a book series that, like, mostly... I never heard about that until like maybe a year after it. And
How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek, Boss Baby.
I know Home was.
Home was a book, yes. I don't know if The Croods were.
That would have been a pretty dull book. It's like,
it was a pretty dull movie.
Family. The end. But yeah, the original book of Boss Baby was about a kid who basically had his like perfect family of his mom, dad, and him. Just everything's all hunky dory until like a little baby and a little tux comes to the house, because that's his imagination. Just the little baby just comes in, basically just wanting everything for himself, being destructive, crying all the time, and just acting like the little boss of the household. But now in the movie, they basically amp that up to like infinity. Now he's really a boss
because
baby.
It's a kid's film. Yeah, the idea that it's a kid's film, so they were like, let's get more imaginative. It's funny. It's almost like the anti-Ferdinand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like Ferdinand's like, here's our little story. Bull likes flowers, and there's the whole scene with the matador, and it's like, okay, can we dial that up a little bit to 11? And it's like, no, we'll stay at like a nice 5.
Yeah.
And they don't really do anything to like really amp it up. Whereas like Boss Baby's like, the idea was a baby shows up and he's kind of like the boss of the house, and then they're like, okay, let's add like a wacky conglomerate angle and like a evil Machiavellian scheme by the antagonist played by Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
And it's over the top and ridiculous, but that's why it works though, because it's imaginative.
Yeah, if it were played a little bit more seriously, then it would not work. It would just be more irritating than anything else. But because it plays it a little bit more tongue-in-cheek and such, like it's able to like really push it forward its humor in much more different ways. Like the whole imagination aspect of the main boy character. Like he's able to like do all sorts of crazy visuals that basically makes it more visually intriguing. And Alec Baldwin as the baby is actually he was actually perfect for that role. Just a douche who was just flying money at everybody.
I mean, the thing about Alec Baldwin as a performer is a lot of his performances are very much the same.
Yeah.
The Boss Baby in this is very much like his character from like 30 Rock, where he's this very arrogant, wealthy. They don't say it in the Boss Baby, but in 30 Rock, I believe he's Republican.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's how they wrote the character. Even the Boss Baby's like, he's a. Because like I remember at one point he even says like, your parents are hippies.
Yeah, definitely like a little Republican baby.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's got to be like a Republican gag, because I remember even like in like 30 Rock, he's like hippies, which is funny because I remember in when you and I were watching the that Mickey Mouse cartoon we like so much, that when they go camping, fucking Donald Duck looks at Mickey and he goes, "You hippie," and then he goes back in his RV to go camping, and it's like, I guess Donald might be a Republican.
But yeah, Boss Baby is it was definitely hitting a lot of buttons for me at least. That basically just made me like, oh yeah, this is just a nice energetic movie that basically puts a smile on my face. Like obviously, it's not trying to be something like, oh God, it's going to change everything that I perceive about everything, like these deep themes.
I'm more
and
annoyed.
Such.
I'm more annoyed by movies trying to do that. I'm more annoyed at the idea that a movie is being made on the precedent of like, we want to be something that's so relevant to culture that it changes everything. Like, looking back, even though I enjoyed like Zootopia feels like it was being made just to hit the political climate that was there at the time.
Yeah, really. Like, I actually want to do a video on this, like comparing like the story of like the actual movie and what you see in the deleted scenes. Because honestly, I feel the deleted scenes actually has a better like identity to itself rather than the actual movie, which is more stuck in that time period.
Yeah, and I think that'd be actually really fascinating. And if you people would like to see that, be sure to comment. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know about that. Well, the Boss Baby is definitely feels a bit more timeless. It's not trying to like say a message or anything, like other than like a family can morph and change, and that's all right, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the thing too is that it's heartfelt when it needs to be. It's almost more of a Disney movie than
actual Disney movies.
Than actual recent Disney movies, because it's like, I put this more maybe on the fan base than Disney directly, but the fan base kind of has been accentuating the past Disney movies as very politically charged.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know if you saw that, but like a bunch of people came out about Frozen, and they were like, oh, Elsa's the first lesbian princess. Oh my God. Which there's no indication that she's a lesbian in any extent of that film
yeah,
whatsoever.
Like the only thing close is like people bring up the theme of being like an LGBT person coming out of the closet and such, and that is totally debatable still.
Because being in the closet is the equivalent of having superpowers that can kill people.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that in your own review of it.
They do that crap in the X-Men movies too, where it's like, oh, being a mutant's like being gay. Well, no, it's not, because if I'm gay, I just like somebody of the same gender, and that's it. I don't have beams that shoot out of my eyes unless I'm wearing glasses to keep them from killing people.
You just imagine just some gay guy walks up like, I'm gay, everybody. Explosion.
You're dead now.
I'm sorry, I hit you with my gay beam.
My gaydar, it's the same thing. No, that's the thing, is that, like, I feel like people have been building up these Disney movies now where it's like, people have said the same thing, like, after Moana happened, people are like, Moana's to be, like, the first lesbian princess. Why? Just because there was no romance in the movie, you automatically assume she's gonna be a lesbian?
Yeah.
At least let the creators who make the movies then make a movie where she's in a lesbian relationship. Let the storytellers, tell the story. Stop putting your political agendas in shit.
Yeah, really, because every movie doesn't really need a political agenda behind it. Like, they're certainly able to have, like, political themes behind it, obviously. Like, there's nothing wrong with the political themes in Zootopia, like, those are strong themes and such. But they basically make it sort of the crater of the whole movie that everything's just sort of dancing around. It definitely just keeps it, like, in one spot.
Yeah, there's also the potential threat that a movie like that, when they politically charge it, you're isolating one, because you're basically saying, like, this side is right, this side can go fuck itself.
Yeah, and the side that's wrong is going to be like, oh, well, this movie's not for me, and it's not going to change their mind. Like, Zootopia would not change anybody's mind. It would just be like,
it's not like a racist watches Zootopia.
Yeah.
They're onto something. That bunny's right.
I shouldn't be racist against predators.
Predators could be people, too. Guess it's time to put away my hood and my swastika and call it a day. Hot damn, Disney saved the world. Woo! No, that's why like Boss Baby's great, because Boss Baby's just a feel-good kind of movie where it's like, I think, first off, a lot of us have been through that if you're the younger child, or you're the oldest child in a household, that, you know, you get a new sibling and you feel neglected or frightened that you're going to be replaced. People go, like, that's a real emotion people go through, and you could connect with that to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The over-exaggeration when they do the imagination stuff is very fun. Sometimes they even play with art styles, which kind of changes it up, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it gave us probably one of the best alarm clocks ever conceived in a film.
Witty the Wizard.
I don't know. Why doesn't that exist? Why isn't there a talking alarm clock that's a wizard? That's cool.
Well, I'm so glad that we rewatched it again, because now we just remember Witty. He just became almost like one of the most favorite things in the movies for us. Because it's just like a little self-aware alarm clock that basically talks to the little boy.
It was always like,
wow, that's
which is weird
so
because
cool.
Which is so weird because he's clearly supposed to be like Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah.
But why? Like, I would love to be in the meeting where it's like, and then he has an alarm clock that's like Gandalf the Grey. Wait, why? Why not?
Yeah, that probably like the biggest downfall of the movie, because there's just some bits of it are a little bit referential to like adult characters, like no more the adult demographic. Like there's a whole scene with like Elvis impersonators and such.
Yeah. There's like the scene with Elvis, and it's like, yeah, it's 2017. Every kid knows who Elvis Presley is.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which I think you and I even made the debate when you and I talked about the Michael Jackson Halloween special. You and I said, like, who's this made for?
Yeah, he was thinking of Michael Jackson.
What modern day kid is going to know who the hell Michael Jackson is?
Yeah, the best case scenario from that one is just like it reintroduces like the new generation to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's maybe about it. I guess this will reintroduce a new generation of like, who's Elvis Presley? Fat guy, wicked drug addict, great singer, died on the toilet.
But yeah, that was Boss Baby. We feel that it's a really good movie, and just give it a chance as you can. Like,
yeah, honestly, it's one of two movies that you have to argue, wow, it's like the ad department went above and beyond to try and get this to fail. Which reminds me so much of Peabody and Sherman.
Yeah, another DreamWorks movie, actually.
Yeah.
And also just a really fantastic movie, too. Yeah. Like, maybe we'll review both Boss Baby and Peabody and Sherman someday to really just give you, like, a dissection of both of them. Maybe on your reviews. That'd be kind of neat. Put that in the comments below to see if you want to see that.
Yeah, comment. So number 3, we're moving on. We're doing Your Name. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is an anime. It technically came out in 2016, but it got dubbed in English 2017, so we're counting it.
Yeah, because at least this one is like a movie that really just sort of stepped out of its bounds and what it initially just sort of like seems it's going to be. So we want to place it on here just for that sort of sake.
Well, the thing is, like, it got creative.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with you.
We had it during the whole like movie and such.
Yeah, but like I do feel like when we hit to that one twist. Because we don't want to spoil it, because the twist is actually kind of like a holy shit moment.
Yeah.
But when the twist hits, I told you, I'm like, what? And then, like, it kept rolling downhill, and I kept telling you,
like, rolling more twists on top of the twist. And then you digest it enough.
Yeah, and it got to a point where I just told you, I'm like, how lovely with you, man. I was pretty on board with this. And then that happens, and then I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? And then and then they kept going like with everything, and it's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm checking out. It's too much. It's too much information all at once. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the basic story is like these two characters, a boy and a girl. A boy who lives like in downtown Tokyo, and this girl who lives down in the boonies somewhere, just happen to one day just wake up in each other's bodies. And
yeah, it's like Freaky Friday.
Yeah, they don't know what happened, and they just start to live each other's lives, like going to work and all that sort of stuff. And it's just as almost like straight cut as that. Like you would think, like, oh yeah, Freaky Friday sort of thing, the misunderstanding, blah 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 sort of thing.
We won't spoil where it goes, but wow.
Like we'll say that it goes off on something, and it's just like wow, and you'll either go like what, like NERO. Or, for me, it was almost like I wanted to see where it was going past that point. And
I wanted to see where it was going. I was just like, what? Where it's going the entire time.
And I was just, like, intrigued by it, because there is definitely a romantic element to it that basically pulls at your heartstrings and such. That it is like, aw, just so nice and all that. But definitely there's definitely bits of manipulative writing in there.
I mean, it's nowhere near as romantic as My Love Story.
Yeah, definitely My Love Story is definitely more cutesy and such, and its main characters in that one basically make
maybe because My Love Story doesn't go off. Maybe because My Love Story doesn't go off the rails.
Yeah, just go off the rails, basically, like go off in like weird directions. And
but that's the thing. I commend this because, like, okay, Scooby-Doo Blowout Beach Bash. It's cool because it's respecting what Scooby-Doo is. It's having fun with the mystery element.
Yeah, and it's stretching itself out with its self-aware humor and all that.
Yeah, and that's why it works. But at the end of the day, like, it's still a Scooby-Doo movie. We don't have too high standards on Scooby-Doo movies. That's apparent by WB putting out a new one every year. In fact, they just put one out on Tuesday, which is Scooby-Doo meets Batman the Brave and the Bold, which we're going to watch, and we're going to do a video on.
Yeah, so just wait on that.
Then after that, they did, there's Boss Baby, and part of it is like, oh man, the trailers made it look so bad, so our standards were set, like, okay, we're set up here, but then it's like, oh, we watch it, and then we moved up, because it's like, oh, it's way better than the trailers had you believe, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it's good, but it didn't really try anything too new.
Yeah, I feel that it's a little bit of a danger to basically just say, like, oh, well, this movie didn't try anything too new, so it's not, like, better than this movie and such. Like, for me, like, these 5 movies that we've chosen, isn't the fact that like, they tried something new. It's more the fact that they were able to, like, look at the properties that they were focusing on, and basically just sort of spin it on its head in different ways.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, Your Name works, because we thought we were getting Freaky Friday with, like, kind of Romeo and Juliet.
And then it goes,
just
like,
sort of
farther than that.
yeah, like, it goes even further than that, where you're like, man, these trailers did not set any of this up in my head.
Yeah, the only thing like I was feeling annoyed about in this movie was definitely sort of like the heartstring pulling went a little bit too far in some scenes, like to a comedic extent, and also
well, you remember
putting lyrical music over emotional scenes.
Oh, like Brother Bear?
Yeah. Oh, you gotta feel this way. You gotta feel this way.
Don't let the scene sell you on the emotions. We're telling you what to feel. It's like that. It's like the new It movie. You can't just be afraid of what's happening. We need to have a sound play like you're a Pavlovian dog. So I was thinking about this while I was like watching It again. Instead of having the sound effect, they really should have just had like a moment where the screen would just freeze and a narrator would pop on and just go, scream. Or like, it should just say like, Scarovision at the bottom of the screen every time something spooky is supposed to happen.
And you're like,
there you go, moron. This is when you're supposed to be afraid. And it's like, come on. Let the movie like actually scare me. Stop doing the sound effect and like try and scare me. It's ruined completely when you just have that opening scene where it's like, Pennywise's eyes show up in the sewer and it's like, blam, loud noise. You're supposed to be scared. Shouldn't the fact that 2 orange eyes are looking at me from the sewer be enough? Yeah, it should, but we want the sound to indicate, you know, like a trained animal.
Yeah.
You'll know how to react. And that's what this movie does with its romance or like its emotional stuff, where it's like, you're like a fucking dog. So when you hear like the sad music and the sad lyrics, you need to feel sad.
You want to hear like the more like, oh, amazing music, majestic music. You have to feel amazed. Where it could just go like with a much more softer, subdued sort of soundtrack, and it would have like done the exact same sort of effect.
This would be the equivalent of like if you ever did you ever see Land Before Time?
Yeah, yeah, but that was like years ago.
You remember like how when Littlefoot's mom died, it was really sad.
Yeah.
It'd be like if like. That scene's happening, and they just
mama died. Feel bad.
Yeah, like there's like a song playing over, and it's like his mom was dead. Eaten by T-Rex. It's so sad. I'm Randy.
Yeah,
and it's just
Randy,
like, man, wouldn't that just
get out of here, Randy?
Wouldn't that just like ruin the scene? And that's what like anytime they do something big in your name, and even though it's fascinating to watch because it feels like the kind of movie where it's like you have to watch it multiple times to fully comprehend how large everything is. Like, you see, like, a dramatic scene, and it's almost like, dramatic stuff is happening right now, you better feel things. And it's like, oh, come on, man, just let the beautiful imagery and the beautiful animation, let that carry it alone. You don't need to, like, have bars of music to indicate to tell me when I need to feel something.
Yeah. I definitely still though to give it credit for me, like I usually never like cry during a movie or all that, but definitely these romantic scenes were like getting me to tear up and such.
Oh, they got me to tear up too, but
you were laughing at it.
I was laughing at it. Stuff gets so ridiculous to me that I couldn't help but have a good belly laugh at this. Which kind of feel bad for because you know the filmmakers were like, this is legit. This is supposed to be, like, dramatic and sincere. Meanwhile, I'm just like... and it's like, wow, look at that dick over there. Look at that goblin man mocking these 2 kids.
Yeah, I know, like, whole watching stuff sort of aspect is, like, to talk, like, about, like spoilers and all that sort of stuff. But definitely, to get the full experience of Your Name, you really just need to go into, like completely blind.
No, you have to. I feel like if people talk about, like, the twists and stuff... It ruins the movie entirely. It really does.
Yeah, it ruins the emotional, like, punch to it.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to... I don't mind spoiling stuff. Like, I don't mind talking about in depth about other things, but this is one of those films where it's like, I think you need to see it, because if someone just, like, tells you what it is, and then you go see it, it's just going to be like, oh, it's just like they said.
Oh, I was like, look at that scene happen. Like, oh, good thing I've prepared for that. Like, I don't believe that really spoilers usually ruin movies, because that's sort of been, like, sort of my mindset for a lot of things. But it is sort of that nice, like, oh, a nice surprise sort of thing. Even though this movie's just more like, oh, God, this surprise.
Yeah, well, I think spoilers is all a matter of opinion. Like, Some movies I've been told what's gonna happen going into it, like Man of Steel. Going into it, I knew that Superman kills Zod, so I wasn't shocked when he killed him. I was more or less still disappointed, not because he killed Zod, but because the movie didn't set it up in such a way where it's like, we didn't even address he had a no-kill policy. So I mean, this is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Good deal. He kills somebody in this continuity. Who cares? We didn't set up he doesn't kill people.
Right.
But yeah, number 3 is Your Name. We do highly recommend it. Good performances, beautiful animation. I think this is the only traditional animated film we actually have on the list.
Yeah, really. I want to see more traditionally animated ones. And I do want to mention one other thing about the music that I really like. Sort of the music video, montage segments. That was, the weirdest thing in this movie that we both sort of saw. It starts out with almost, an anime intro and such. And then, 2 times throughout the movie, that was, little music videos that intertwine in it. And that was the bits that are just wow, these are, really, really pumping and such, and give the movie its own, certain taste to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
so
watch
hopefully
it for that.
we'll... Also, let us know if you guys want us to tackle more anime-oriented stuff. I notice our stuff is primarily Canadian and American animation. Do you guys want us to talk about anime more? Because both WHYBOY and I are very avid anime fans.
Yeah, we are. I'm just watching, Yuri on Ice with my special someone right now, and I'm really enjoying that.
I want to see that. One of my buddies who is completely hetero was talking to me. He goes, "Man, I ain't even gay," but I was the entire time just sitting there, let these queens fall in love.
Yeah, definitely watch Yuri on Ice. It's a beautiful show and really heartfelt.
Awesome. So I think we can move on to number 2.
Yep, number 2, the other DreamWorks movie this year. So this was basically the year of DreamWorks. Captain Underpants.
It couldn't be the year of Disney. Didn't they only have one film?
No, they had Coco and Cars 2. I mean, 3.
Oh, shit.
So it was their year to be on the bottom list.
I keep forgetting, I remember, Coco came out, and I keep forgetting, they made a sequel to Cars. And it's no, they didn't. Dude, we watched it. No, we didn't. Oh, no way, we did.
And I was just oh no.
I keep forgetting, too, because, wasn't Nathan Fillion in that?
Yeah, he was. And he was supposed to be, the bad guy in that one. But then he wasn't the bad guy. Then he was the bad guy.
He wasn't the bad guy. Until the third act decided it needed a bad guy in, the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
most of you probably remember, for Captain Underpants, that was my movie that I was dreading the most out of it. It was the top.
It looked dumb.
It really, really did.
Trailer-wise, it looked really dumb.
But to be
it looked
quite
like it was
fair,
stupid.
Captain Underpants is still pretty dumb. Reading the original books and all that, it's super dumb.
It is, but, and this is something I take to heart from the movie, and I do want to do a full review of Captain Underpants, and I'll definitely bring this up in the review too, but there's a line where Principal Krupp is talking, and he says, and he's talking to the 2 main characters, and he mentions their comics, the comics of Captain Underpants, and he says, I read these, they're juvenile, and, they base themselves on the lowest form of humor imaginable, toilet humor.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's still pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's Captain Underpants. It's juvenile, it's immature, and it celebrates it.
Yeah.
It's not ashamed.
Yeah,
it knows what it is.
Yeah. And that's why we both liked this movie, and how it won me over. At the beginning, my first watch, I'm just oh, well, that's just a nice watch and all that. And then on the second watch, it's just wow, I actually really understand where this movie is going. It really just sort of holds to heart, that immaturity side of Captain Underpants that basically brought in all those readers to begin with. In book form, I just couldn't get into Captain Underpants. I didn't like the art style of it. The toilet humor just seemed really stupid to me as a kid. But now, in this visual medium, there's more color to it, there's more action, flash to it, there's more movement, and it feels more alive.
Yeah, and can we say too, in terms of DreamWorks films as a whole, this one feels like it has a unique fingerprint.
Yeah.
Because look, Boss Baby looks nice, but one of the things about Boss Baby is it looks like a DreamWorks film.
Right.
You know, it's got the DreamWorks eyes. It looks like a DreamWorks film. Whereas Captain Underpants, it looks like they took the base core of the direction of the books and then streamlined it. They cleaned it up a bit. And it translates beautifully to animation, much in the same way like the Peanuts film.
Yeah.
So it looks very unique. It looks like a film that you haven't visually seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal because it's like, and you and I were talking about this about Coco at one point and like Cars, where it's like Pixar has this style and so does Disney. And that's it. Like, all their films just kind of vaguely look the same. They don't want to experiment with new art direction or too much different color palettes. They kind of want to have everything sort of be very uniform.
Yeah,
that's why like all the characters have the big Disney eyes and so on and so forth. So much so that in Coco, the skeleton characters have the big Disney eyes. And to me, it kind of ruins the skeleton designs because you could have, with the eye sockets alone, just have the eye sockets change shape. And they could still be very expressive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would have been really cool.
But they wanted it to be very... They wanted it to be very, Pixar-fied to such a degree that's like they need the big Disney eyes and everything like that. And that's the thing is like Captain Underpants, it's almost in a way, it kind of feels like you're almost looking at the art designs of old school comic books, like Golden Age comics. Because in like the Golden Age, when they had like Captain Marvel... who is, he's basically like Superman. He's the guy with the red suit, the thunderbolt on his chest.
Right, yeah.
He had like the little dots for eyes. Even for a stint, Superman had the dots for eyes. That's how they do Captain Underpants. Like, he's got like, almost all the characters have dots for eyes, but then like, they get really expressive with other characters. Like, Professor Poopy Pants shows up, and his glasses change shape to fit his expressions, much in the same way Dexter from Dexter's Lab does. Yeah. And it's cool because it's like, oh, look at that. It's not trying to be quasi-realistic. And that's the thing about, like, the Disney movies and some of the DreamWorks ones is it feels like some of the styles like, oh, we want it to be realistic, but we still want it to be animated, but we want it to look kind of real, but it's also still animated. And it's just sort of like this, it's almost like a limbo in between of, like, style. Whereas Captain Underpants is like, this is a cartoon. This is an animated project through the minds of children.
Yeah, that's our style.
And it works.
And it really, really does. It makes it inviting, colorful, and all that. And definitely, like you say, it's a visual thumbprint to it. Like, you can never compare this to, like, any other animated movie, in a sense. Like, you can say, like, oh, this is similar to that one, and sort of, it's the DreamWorks effect sort of thing. No.
The closest in terms of visual is maybe Peanuts. And that's because the Peanut Gang have dots for eyes.
Yeah, and because it was based on, like, a comics and strip, just sort of like, yeah, Underpants is based on a book and such. And, like, and the story overall is just, like, it's super simplistic. Like, we have the main characters, like, Harold and George, as they just hypnotize their principal into becoming their comic hero, Captain Underpants. And basically crazy shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, and it's got good slapstick humor. I think one of the things I really like about it is that in this climate of superhero movies, it's very apparent now superhero films are bombarding the box office. I believe this year alone it was Wonder Woman Justice League for WB. Wonder Woman did okay. Justice League underperformed because of course it did. And Marvel had Spider-Man, Thor, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And in a climate where they have so many superhero movies either in development or coming out now, it's very smart of DreamWorks to come out and be like, let's do a superhero movie, but let's make it one that you wouldn't expect because they didn't go for a big property. They could have probably gone to Image Comics, and they probably could have gotten the rights to something over there. I know that, like, there's, like, Super Dinosaur, I think it's I can't remember what the name of the book is. No, I was reading this really cool comic, and it was made by the dude who created that lame zombie show. It was The Walking Dead. The dude who created
comments.
I don't care. Zombies are stupid. Zombies are dumb. Zombies are not cool monsters. It's just a bunch. It's like piranhas, but they're corpses. So, the fact is, if you died in the zombie apocalypse, you're a loser. That's it. That's the take. And the idea, by the way, and I'm shutting this argument down right now, the argument that it's like, you don't understand, it's not about the zombies, it's about the people. That's every fucking zombie-related project ever made. The Walking Dead doesn't do anything fresh with that angle. It's the same damn thing with every zombie film or franchise. It's always been about the freaking survivors. No shit! At the end of the day, though, the only thing people really want to see are zombies doing up shit to people. That's it. The Walking Dead. I've said my piece on The Walking Dead. Fuck The Walking Dead. I still stand by that. But that's the thing where it's like, with Captain Underpants, it's a superhero movie, but it's almost a parody of a superhero movie. It's like a satire.
Right.
Right down to like the ludicrous nature of like how he gets his superpowers, how his supervillain rises to power. The fact that they're kind of self-aware with like the character archetypes they are.
Yeah.
You know, like even I think Professor P, like when he shows up in his like pink and teal outfit, he even mentions, he's like, does this look like a supervillain uniform? And it's like, yeah, only a supervillain would wear something that ridiculous. I mean, keep in mind, one of Batman's most iconic villains is a guy who wears a green suit with question marks.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, what are you gonna do? It's really just overall, Captain Underpants is one of those movies where you don't really have to think too hard about it, because it's not really like Boss Baby, it's not really trying to ask any sort of deep questions and all that. It's really just a movie that's celebrating like childhood immaturity and how that's completely okay to do.
Yeah, I like that. I like it celebrates like it's okay to be immature. It's okay to like these ridiculous things. At the same time, it also is. It's probably one of their most experimental films, I'd argue, because there's the flip book style. There's the CGI of the overall movie that's very stylized in its own way. There's the scene with the puppets and they do like the Muppetry.
That was probably like my favorite visual scene in the whole movie.
So why are there robots? Because it's the future. Why are they fighting everything? Because they're robots. Oh my gosh! Like, that's funny.
Yeah, it's just
that's the thing.
While Brandon is of a child's imagination, while Boss Baby is more like that imagination basically just enveloping in his own world. In Captain Underpants, it's more using that imagination to save the day and being okay with it.
Yeah, like Boss Baby's kind of funny because of it's almost cynical, but in a humorous way. Because the Boss Baby's so very dry. So like every time a problem shows up, he just goes like with like a wad of bills, and that's how it solves every one of his problems until he's like, I'm out of money, damn it.
Yeah, so the way that he saves the day is through imagination.
Yeah. Whereas like Captain Underpants, the idea is that the whole film is ludicrous. Everything about it is ridiculous. Everything about it is childish, and it's okay. It's that same level of kind of cleverness when you think back to like say Inside Out, where the lesson is like, it's okay to be sad.
Yeah,
it's downright healthy to be sad.
On any other Disney movie, make it happy, make it happy.
Yeah, that's why Coco has that bullshit ending.
Yeah. Just rub the salt in the wound of all the Coco fans out there.
I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound of all the Coco fans out there. I'm trying to say that it's funny that, like, Pixar would make a movie where it's like, it's okay to be sad. Forcing happiness is pretty unhealthy. It's okay to feel melancholy because you have a bigger appreciation for the things that cheer you up. And then Coco just ends and it's like, everything's a happy ending. That douchebag, like, famous guy, I guess isn't famous anymore. How? Because he was a jerk. I don't know, like, did the kid tell everybody in his village where it's like, man, you won't believe it. I went to the land of the dead, and like, your ancestor was there, and your ancestor was there, and your ancestor was there. By the way, that famous musician that's like, you know, the pinnacle of tourism for our town, turns out he killed like my grandpapa. So he's kind of a dick. Well, Manuolo, or whatever your name is, because you kept getting the kid's name wrong every time we talked about him. It's
Mango.
Miguel, Manuel, Manolo, whoever the name of the kid is. Oh, well, I guess everyone's like, well, you know what? I guess you were right. I guess, oh, damn. I guess he was a jerk. There we go. We don't believe in him anymore. I guess he vanished from the afterlife. And you're like, what? What? Did the freaking kid show up and tell everybody I went to the land of the dead and this is what happened?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That thing tries so hard to be like a Disney ending, it hurts. It tries to be so sickeningly sweet. I lost my foot. This is where my foot would be, and I don't have it anymore. It fell off because of how sickeningly sweet. They tried to give me the diabetes.
But
sorry,
yeah,
that's.
It definitely Captain Underpants really just goes with an actual moral that's definitely more. I'm trying to think of the right word. Definitely more nuanced than any of the other ones.
Yeah, it's like it's okay to be like immature things. Immature things can be funny. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like the thing is that Captain Underpants is proof positive. Though there's an art to immature humor.
Yeah, and there's also an art in making like cheaper animated movies, because I believe Captain Underpants is a much cheaper movie to make.
Is it technically the cheapest animated film to date?
No.
I don't know if it's officially the like worldwide it's the cheapest, but I think it's the cheapest DreamWorks film to date.
Yeah, that I don't know how to actually look up, but I believe it's definitely one of the cheaper anime movies that we've seen like in the last few years.
And I feel like we need more of that. Because I understand the whole idea. Okay, at the end of the day, films are made just to make money. That's
right.
it. You know, it's people don't literally wake up and are like, I want to tell a story about the human condition. Well, I mean, maybe the artsy jackasses are, but like the general consensus is
people also need to eat food and such.
Yeah, the general consensus is, look, it takes a lot of resources and time to invest in a project like this. So you want to get a return on your investment. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
that's the whole point. So the fact that it's like we could spend this small amount, but then make this amount back, it's like the Deadpool effect. Deadpool was, I think, like a $58 million picture,
right?
And it made like $700 million at box office. So it's a success. It's a grade A commercial success.
Yeah, it pays to basically try to limit yourself on a budget.
Yeah, like, that's why, like, Disney, to me, it's like, we threw, like, $200 million at this movie. Wow, and it still sucks.
Yeah, it's still just an average movie.
I don't care how much money you throw at it. Just, like, I think it was on the worst video somebody said to us, like, Coco made this much money. And I'm just thinking, like, what does that have to do with anything? I didn't make that money.
Yeah.
That's not going to change my opinion. That didn't fill my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's just our opinion. Like, whether they make money or not, it doesn't really gauge what our opinion's going to be.
Yeah. We don't have a financial stake in those movies being successful or bad. Like, people have told me, you wanted Justice League to be bad. No. I want the Justice League to be cool, because the Justice League is awesome.
Yeah, because
it's bad because I expected it to be.
Yeah, we don't go out to movies to basically expect them to be bad. Like, that's just stupid. We want to spend like $20 on movie ticket to basically go out and basically hate something.
Yeah, didn't I get enough of that when I sat through Ninjago?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I had to walk down to the theater. Oh, that was fun. And then after I walked down to the theater, oh boy, at least the food was good. And I sat there. Oh boy, it's dropped like $12 on that goddamn ticket because, you know, tickets are fucking expensive when it's on opening day. And then, oh no, I didn't even see it on opening day. I was smart, actually. Look at Ninjago I saw on $6 Tuesday. So I didn't even pay full price for that shit. And I still feel like I got robbed coming out of that, like, 15 minutes in.
I'm out.
Yeah, this ain't for me. Call it quits. I'm outie. Which is great. Like, left that theater. Like, woman sees me. Oh, hey, how was your movie? It sucks so bad I walked out. Oh, that's terrible. So, yeah, can we get refunds? Oh, there's a no refund policy. Have a good day! And then I just walked out the door like the Fonz.
Yeah.
Captain Underpants is fun. It is charming. It's self-aware of what it is. And I just think the humor is very on point. The characters are characters. You either were those kids growing up, or you had friends who were those kids growing up.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were the douchey nerd with the glasses who's an asshole. Maybe you were that kid.
No, I wasn't that kid. Why are you staring at me? No.
Yeah, fuck it! You like throw the camera off like everything cuts to black.
Then That, like, yeah, that's our number 2.
That's number 2. So WHYBOY, this is a biggie.
This is the movie that we just absolutely loved this year. Like,
number 1.
Me and Nero, like, we watched it and we were just amazed by the whole thing all the way through. We loved the story of it. We loved the art design of it. It was just our number 1 movie, Loving Vincent.
I feel like this movie isn't getting any credit.
No,
because it was like Golden Globe. It's like, and the winner is Coco. Of course it is, because Disney has deep pockets.
Yeah, because that's what wins those awards. More advertising campaigns than anything.
Yeah.
And what did Loving Vincent have for advertising campaign? Nothing.
Pretty much that's like, there's a movie about, like, it's like a documentary about Vincent van Gogh, but it's all done through paintings and, like, charcoal drawings.
General populace is just like, neat. Go see Coco.
Well, yeah, because Coco isn't experimental. It's not going to try something new. It's going to do the bare minimum. And people are fine with that. That's the thing. The general audience, people like archetypes. People like comfort. People like repetition. It's why, like, you go to, like, oh, I could probably go to Red Robin and get, like, a really good burger, but McDonald's is right there, and a Big Mac is fine.
Yeah, right. And now, just for those who don't know what Loving Vincent is, it basically, like, it feels like the advertising was more directed toward, like, this is going to be, like, a documentary on Vincent van Gogh. But, no, it's not really sort of a documentary in, like, the strictest sense. It's almost like a narrative documentary, like, where you're living through the story of Vincent van Gogh's death. Like a
murder mystery?
Yeah. And you play through, like, and you have it through playing through, like, some of his I'm trying to think of the right word for it, like the actual, like, focuses of his paintings and such, as they're all the characters of it.
All the characters are subjects,
right,
of his portraits, and then they do something clever because, like, the main focus are his traditional painting style, which I think he was oils.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then, like, when they do flashbacks, from, like, Vincent's perspective, it's his charcoal drawings. And I think that's the thing, is that, I know it sounds dickish, but it's like, Pixar has a comfort zone where they do animation. DreamWorks has a comfort zone where they do animation, with the exception of Captain Underpants being like, let's kind of break the mold on that. Right. Loving Vincent, there's never been a film like this. I don't think there's ever been a film that's been painted with, like, thousands of paintings to be the cells of animation. I don't think it's ever really been done. Like, yeah, you have painted traditional animation cells, but we're talking people cracked out canvases and they painted this stuff.
Yeah, like, frame by frame and such. Like, at first, obviously, like, rotoscoped everything, because you can see some of the behind-the-scenes footage in that. But, yeah,
I think like, this is the only way you could do this, though, is rotoscoping.
Yeah. Yeah, so you had to see, like, a much more humanistic faces and such, and it looks so good. It has such a texture to it that makes it more visually appealing. Now, I'll say this isn't really the movie for everyone, though, even though I would recommend to anyone that I would go past. Like, it's a murder mystery sort of thing. Like, it's definitely a much slower movie than anything else.
Oh, yeah, that was the only thing that... I remember when you and I, after we finished it, I said, you know, we both really love this. It's slow as hell, though. I mean, it's almost a chore to get through, because the thing is, it's more about the artistry of everything.
Right.
You know, it's a murder mystery, so you just, you know, you're seeing it through the eyes of different people. You're getting small bits of information. It's got calming music. It's got the fact that it's all painted and has the charcoal drawings. That alone is what elevates it past the idea that it is very slow. It is kind of monotonous to sit through.
Yeah.
But there's such a charm to the visual, or, like, artistry of how they went about doing it in such a way that nothing else has done it before.
Yeah, and just sort of from the mystery aspect of it, there is such sort of an intrigue to it, unlike, like, where you see the Scooby-Doo movie, where there's a clear sort of answer to it. Like in Loving Vincent, like, the point of the whole movie is like, there really isn't a point to the mystery. Whatever the conclusion of the mystery was, like, it's still going to end with Vincent's death. Like, he's going to be dead. Like,
Yeah,
not going
it's a
about
foregone
it.
conclusion.
Yeah, and you just sort of have to leave the movie just feeling like, even though like Vincent like did all these paintings, he was never going to be like the big famous painter that we know today until after his death. Like that's the only reason we know about him now, because of this tragic death of his.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just sort of a melancholy feeling to that basically just really sticks with you.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like Bizarro Paddington. Like, Paddington is like a feel-good movie. This is like a feel-sad movie.
Yeah, but it's not like... It's not super sad, though, thankfully.
Yeah, it's like, it's sad, but it's fascinating. Because, like, we all know... I mean, anybody who knows about, famous painters, especially like Vincent van Gogh, is that he committed suicide. He was a very depressed individual. Might have been bipolar.
Yeah.
He at least clearly suffered from some degree of mental illness.
Well, definitely.
So that goes without saying. So, like you said, the fact is at the end of this, it's like, oh yeah, he kills himself. That's a foregone conclusion. He's going to kill himself.
Yeah, he's either to kill himself or somebody murders him. Like, those are the only two conclusions, and it still just ends with the one conclusion: he's dead.
Yeah. So either way, it's not really too happy of an ending. But the fact that you have like characters from his portraits being representative of people that he knew, and that, their interactions with him and their relationships to him genuinely gives a sort of interesting idea. It's almost kind of like when you think like Toy Story, because it's told by the perspective of Andy's toys. Everything's being told by the perspective of Vincent's portraits.
Yeah.
And that makes it kind of fascinating to look at. And again, I can't praise the artistry enough. The fact that it's something that we haven't really seen before. In an era where CGI is the go-to for virtually every movie now.
Right.
It's with the exception of maybe like the Japanese anime movies coming out.
Yeah.
I don't think you see any American movies really hand drawn.
Yeah,
like
unless you're going
I think this past
onto
year,
the indie scene, really.
Yeah, I think this past year the most. I guess MLP, My Little Pony was.
Yeah, let me just double check the list. Yeah, probably MLP is like the most biggest like mainstream
theatrical hand drawn.
Yeah, really. That and maybe Hey Arnold.
That wasn't theatrical though.
Yeah, that is true, but that was still like one of the more bigger releases.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like how many theatrical films?
Yeah, that's really the only one.
Can you name that do that like traditional style? And it's none.
Yeah.
Maybe there's maybe one, and it's not even maybe one a year. It's maybe one every couple of years.
Yeah, one that really just sort of gets the advertising behind it to basically really push itself.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that this was... It was something dramatically different, but I dig that.
Yeah.
And, like, it's slow. There's no debating it that it's slow. It is. It's not going to be for everybody. I would dare say most people would probably be bored. I would probably say that.
Like, if by like the 20-minute mark you're not intrigued by the mystery aspect or anything like that, you're not going to be enthralled with this movie. But like us, if you are enthralled by it, it's going to be a ride that basically puts you into that melancholy mood and basically be introspective by the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to just... Like, I still want to find, like, any means, like, find, like, DVDs of this or anything like that. And maybe put that in the description below, because this movie needs all of the advertising it can get. Yeah, that wasn't doing that well.
Yeah, it was indie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was indie. Like, it was at the Toronto Film Festival. Like, it was at the Golden Globes and such, and got nominated and such, so that should do well for some of its advertising. But I don't believe it has a DVD yet of it. And I'm definitely going to pick one up when there is one. But it's such a beautiful movie, and if I see anything, I'll be placing that in the description below until, like, where you can support this movie if you want to see it. Because right now it's a little bit hard to actually see the movie.
Yeah, because I think even in theatrical, it was only some places.
Yeah, it was very limited releases. Like me and Nero were lucky because I had a connection to like basically review it for the website that I was working on at the time, and so we were able to watch it like that. But most other people wouldn't get that chance because it's not like the Cocos. It's not in every theater everywhere because they don't have the money for that.
Yeah, and it's a shame because in an age where so many people, especially corporations, are there's a system, there's a system to how they make these films, and a lot of them are played safe. I actually did. I watched a video where somebody was talking about actually just like, okay, for example, the makings behind the new It film.
Right.
There was a director, Cary Fukunaga, who was assigned to the picture, and he really wanted to go in depth and like showing the flaws of the characters. And it was Warner Brothers who flat out came to them and said, "We want archetypes. We do not want character depth. We want cheap jump scares. We want something that's going to get like the young audience's asses in seats."
Yeah.
And it was so cynical, because instead of taking a chance, which let's be honest here, if you're doing an adaptation of It, there probably isn't really too much of a financial risk involved. People love the Pennywise creature. They love the dancing clown so much that people were going to go see this.
Right.
Whether you took a risk or didn't, people would have gone to see it. It's the same logic of like, why, they did so many remakes of horror movies. They did Friday the 13th. They did Nightmare on Elm Street. They did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They did another fucking Saw.
Yeah.
Because people are there for the spectacle of seeing the creature or the monsters or whatever the fudge being the main focal point. So there's really no loss to taking a risk and trying something else.
Right.
And yet, even with It, they were like, no. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. They hired a director who had one movie under his belt. Fired Cary Fukunaga, who was like critically acclaimed. I believe True Detective. He wrote and directed like the first season of that series.
Oh, okay.
And it's like beloved.
Yeah.
And yet they got rid of him because he wouldn't play corporate ball. He wouldn't do bare minimum. He wanted to do something more. And the studio's like, get rid of him. Let's get a director who will play ball. Let's get a mediocre writer who has done mild at best with critics and with fans, with audience reception. So much so that one of his movies, which I think is called like Sea Devils or Land Devils or something like that.
Right, yeah.
The movie did so bad that I think it got a 9 on Rotten Tomato by audiences, and no critic reviewed it because no critic gave a shit.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And that's the thing, in an era where it's cynicism and lazy. I mean, again, Sony this year alone in 2017, what was it? Emoji Movie, Swift's Lost Village. Same film. Same script. Same setup.
Yeah.
An individual who has, one gimmick from a village or town or whatever goes on a journey with friends to validate their gimmick. Same story in the same year, months apart.
Yeah.
We live in an era of cynical movie making. It's kind of true, because movie making isn't an art form, it's a business now.
Yeah, so you had to more see a lot of stuff it definitely sounds a little bit snooty to say this, but you had to go on the independent circuit to basically see more differences and such. Like a movie that I personally liked was Nova Seed, because it's much more carefree sort of style to it. It definitely had more of a grungier look to it. I know you didn't like that sort of aspect of it.
I wanted to bring this up because I think that is our top 5 list. So I did think we should each name one movie that we really that didn't make the list, but we really enjoyed.
Yeah,
yours is Nova Seed.
Yeah, and another independent movie about a lion man and all that, basically just going on a sci-fi adventure and all that. It definitely feels really grungy and just very cool looking to have. It just definitely didn't feel like any other movie that I could have seen this year. Which is why it really just sort of stuck in my mind for me. And I would also just recommend from my list the Todd in the Book of Pure Evil, The End of the End, because that movie just came out, I supported it and all that. And I just like supporting independent creators like that, because they were one of the first kickstarted movies of animated movies out there. Just yeah.
If I do have one film, but it's not animated, so I hope that's not a problem.
You're kicked out of ToonGrin forever. Well, what is it? See if
There's
it
a movie-
pleases me.
What are you doing, like a genie pose?
Yes, please me.
Fair enough. There was a movie I watched this year called Dave Made a Maze.
Oh yeah, you showed me a trailer of that. I wanted to see that.
It's beautiful. It moved me to tears.
Oh.
It really did hit close to home because it hit that mentality of you have a character named Dave and Dave made a maze out of like cardboard. So a lot of like everything in it is kind of stop motion-y.
Right, yeah.
So they're like cardboard monsters and cardboard booby traps. When people get like engored on something, like red confetti paper shoots up. It's really
not
funny.
Actually dying when that happens, because I saw that sort of bits in the trailer, but I was just like, is that play thing? Are they actually dying like that?
I don't even remember if they fully did die at the end or not. I think everybody ended up leaving the maze at the end, but I think characters feel like people died in the maze and that was it. It's like, oh, and like I think it's kind of like left ambiguous. But one of the lessons I took from that movie, because Dave mentions it in like at one point where he talks, and he's like, "You ever worked so hard for something and it nothing comes of it?" And that's how I feel about our YouTube channel and just like ToonGrin as a whole. Is like, I want us to be successful. I want us to be like at Markiplier's level because I want us to be able to do those things. I want to be able to give back to like the community and to like people, and I want to do charity drives and being able to give back to humanity and stuff like that. And I feel like because YouTube is such a worldwide forum where we can utilize it, I want it to happen, but YouTube fights us every step of the way, and it just like it crushes my heart every time YouTube does something that just kind of ruins it for not even just our channel, but for channels in general.
Yeah.
Because I see so many talented people working really, really hard to do things, and then you constantly see like tweets and message posts like, oh, this is what YouTube did, this is how they fucked it up. Then YouTube has the gall to like post on their Twitter where it's like, keep sending in and we'll keep trying to get better. To which I saw one commenter flat out said, can you just stop sucking?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, listen to that guy. Just stop sucking. That's actually a very valid point.
Take responsibility for it. Like, after the whole Logan Paul sort of thing, because, if people have been watching my social media, I've been talking about that for a while, but basically YouTube finally just came out and basically said their piece on it, basically saying like, oh, we're right with you guys, we're right with you, just trying to solve the issues and all that sort of stuff. Like, just sort of sidestepping everything, just putting a blanket over everything.
The only reason why they probably stepped out and said that now is because they're worried they're going to lose money on this. Not because they genuinely believe what Logan Paul did was crap, but because they feel like this is just a bad business prospect that we're being looked at as the forum who allowed a guy to record a fucking corpse and post it online.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, advertisers would be pissed at that. And definitely, they like the whole apology from them, like, apology, I should say with air quotes, like, they didn't really take responsibility. Like, even Logan Paul, sociopath that he is, actually found a way to apologize by the end of it to make it sound halfway decent. Like, they made a choice to put Logan's Paul video up there like that. Like, they have a choice to basically set their whole system up like this.
How many people have we, like, other reviewers we've met, or even just us in general, where it's like, we have a video, it's in the key to be posted. It's not even up. It's just in the key to be posted, and it's like, right away, strike.
Yeah,
or like, flagged. Right away. This guy. Free pass. And that's the thing, like, Dave Made a Maze reminds me of stuff like this, where it's like, we're trying so hard, and it's relatable to anybody to try so hard at something and not make it, whether it be you trying out for a sports team, you being an artist, and it connected with me on such an emotional level, and I really do want to sit down and show it to you, and I would like to share it with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll just place like the names of all the like our top five movies and such, even these little special movies of ours, into the description below. Maybe you can just look them up on IMDb and just basically watch all these movies. Like,
well, if anything, why don't we just we'll just provide Amazon links below, and people could just pick up the movie. I mean,
yeah, we'll have to wait on Loving Vincent because I'm still just trying to find like when they'll actually be able to like make something like that. But as soon as they do, I'll be placing that in the description below because all these movies are definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't the best year for 2017 films. Let's hope 2018's better. that proves to be already false because between the Grinch and Peter Rabbit...
Yeah, it's not starting out with very good advertising, at least. It's just going on that trend. But I definitely feel like 2017 overall was definitely a more mediocre year. But definitely, like, what's Cartoon Corner when I review something good? Like, my mentality for it is, like, I always try to find, like, that little golden egg in that pile of crap. And I've always just found it, like
the diamond in the rough.
Yeah, A Fish Tale, Legend of Oz, Dorothy's Return. Like, these are movies that basically, like, no one would ever think about. Like, especially with A Fish Tale's box cover and just Legend of Oz, like, horrible.
No one agrees with you. Like, everyone looks at you and it's like, can't believe you like Legend of Oz. Dude, it's fine. Jesus Christ. What, does everything have to be held to the standard of that one fucking Wizard of Oz movie made in, like, the 30s? Which, if you go back and watch it, wow, narratively, this is kind of crap. I mean, like, there's no depth or anything. It's just... She's hanging out with the Scarecrow, a lion, and a Tin Man.
Yes, it's a simple story. But it's especially with these 5 movies that we've chosen this year, and even like the other 2 that we just mentioned, like these were the movies that basically surprised us. They basically just sort of propelled above all of that mediocrity. Basically, just show like these are the shining examples. They basically show there's much more creativity coming out now more than ever, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's just sort of my optimistic view of it. Like, I feel like, even in 2018, like, it feels like it's going towards that sort of mediocre route. So I'm going to keep my eye out on the independent scene. Because it's definitely going to be more movies coming out that basically just sort of shoots up and basically like, wow, look at me now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I hope 2018 has good films. Because, really, I never understood the argument by anybody who's like, oh, you want them to be bad. There's nothing to be gained from a film being bad. If a film is bad, that means those individuals who worked on it wasted their time, which time is precious because we only have a finite time on this this world, and to waste it working on like crap, who would want that?
Right.
Like, why would you want to be like, wow, look at all this time and money that was wasted on this. You could have done literally anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But guys, that is the 2017 Best of Animated Films list. It was a chore to kind of get to this list because there was such a wonderful blend of mediocrity and grade A garbage.
Yeah, but we'll be placing a link to all that grade A garbage in like the end card of this video so you can see that. And if you want to rewatch that and just see like our long list of some of the worst movies you'll ever see.
Yeah, and some that you'd be surprised that made that list.
Definitely surprises on there.
But we do appreciate you guys for stopping by. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. That's important.
Yep, that's definitely important.
Check links below to see our other videos. That's always wanted.
Yep,
be sure to check out TeePublic. TeePublic, our shirt shop.
Yep,
and our Patreon.
Yeah, we got our new shirts on TeePublic and Patreon. You can just basically become our patron to basically choose whatever watch stuff that we ever cover, or Cartoon Corner, or Near Reviews, or anything else.
I really like the idea that you and I could choose, here are 3 movies we'd like to maybe review. And it'd be cool that if you guys stopped by and was like, oh, I want you to review that.
Yeah,
vote.
That one.
Get one. And then you vote, and then if it gets enough votes, why not? I think that'd be cool because it allows us to give back to you. It's like you're producers.
Right.
And that's pretty sweet.
So if you want to do that, then just go ahead and try it. Like, anything you can do to support us is immensely helpful, and we're immensely grateful for that.
Oh, why? But what about T-Blocks? That awesome website you're always telling me about.
Right. If you go to tblocks.com, you can purchase any sort of one of their box packages to get like a original T-shirt a month. Like, it's like a super cool thing. Like, the last one I got was a Comic-Con shirt for 2015, which was like super high quality, super nice. And
was it Adventure Time?
Yeah, it was Adventure Time. And if you put in the code TBLOCKSTBX, you can get 10% off your purchase there, which is like, whoa! And you help out the show by doing that. So,
oh, look at that. You help out the show, you get a bunch of cool nerd paraphernalia, everybody wins.
Yep, so ToonGrin TBX, put that into checkout, and you get 10% off. Go over to tblocks.com to see what they're offering. And
as always, guys, be sure to tune in
to ToonGrin. and see you for the rest of 2018. Next time,
2018, please don't suck!
well, we're starting off with a Scooby-Doo movie, so we'll see where that goes.
But it's Batman Brave and the Bold, which is awesome!
Woo!
Yeah.